Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the screenwriting step-by-step project, episode 202, volume 202 of this project. My name is Glen, and I come to you every Monday through Friday, if I can make it, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time Zone, to let you look over my shoulder, share my screen as I write a script. This project I am doing in order to demystify the process of writing a script. I am not saying that this is the only process you can do. I'm not saying it's the best process. I'm just trying to let you see a process, the one that I taught myself, worked out for myself in a 25-year career writing for TV and movies, in the hopes that it will help you when you face the blank page. Everybody's got to figure out their own way to do it. If these tips and tricks and things that I'm trying to walk you through to see how I do it are helpful to you, use them. If they are not, don't use them. Now you know something you shouldn't do. Figure out what you should do and do that. That's cool. There is no one right way to do this. Every writer does it their own way. I just feel like not enough screenwriting teachers talk about the day-to-day, line-by-line process of getting your thoughts into an outline and an outline into a rough draft and a rough draft into a revised draft. The process of writing a script, any kind of script. Doesn't matter what the content is. I'm not trying to show you how to write a great script, just showing you how to get a script written. So that is what we are doing here. Hello, Donna. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. For those of you who are watching, you do not have to watch 202 hours of this. I am just doing this every day in the hope that when you drop in, you will get to see techniques, tricks, ways of working. And you can do that any hour. Try one, try another. Doesn't matter. It's not like they go in a special order that you have to follow every step. It's not like that. Mostly I'm doing the same techniques and tricks over and over because that's what you do in the process. You keep applying the same basic approaches to the new challenge, the new scene, the new character, the new twist, whatever it is. You still got to figure out, how do I make this into dialogue and action? That's all I'm showing you. Hey Thumper, hey Hyper Abs, good to see you all. So for those of you who are watching who want a sort of basic introduction to screenwriting, the best way I can say to do that is to go to my channel, the rest of my channel, not the live streams, but the first 3 playlists on my channel are full of the greatest hits, the best information that I can think of, boiled down to 10-minute lessons. I really put a lot of time into trying to figure out what I could tell you that would be the most useful. Each lesson has a topic. The topic is the big thumbnail word, genre, flashbacks, think in scenes, process of questions, use what you have. These are things that I think are immensely valuable. And so I urge you to watch them on your own time, think about them, see if they help you. All right, hi. Hope everyone is well. So yesterday I did just a Q&A session. So today we're going to get back to the script, rewriting the script, because I read the script over the weekend and I took some notes, and I want to talk about that, tell you where I am and where it's headed. Okay, the first thing is I just wrote these notes myself so I would remember to tell you. What I've hit now is there's a certain point in the process when you have to stop leaving things in the outline. I have talked to you about how I use the outline. I have, in fact, done 2 videos on this, which I think are very useful. One is called Why Outline, and the other is called How to Outline. And they are, again, in my channel. And if you go look those up, they explain the basic idea of what I think an outline can be, which is sort of a things to do list and a way to work, a workplace, so that every thought you can think of, you get down in the outline, and then you can sort of streamline it and figure out where in the scenes these things happen. Once you've got a draft or two, you got to stop using the outline to hold ideas. Because if they're in the outline and they're not in the script, they don't exist. Everything has got to go into the script. You start to work only in the script. Everything has got to be on the page, or it's not. If it's not there, no one is gonna know when they read the script. So at that point, you stop using the outline as this grand vision, and you start to use it just as literally a checklist. These are the things I have to do the next time I go through this script, or the next time I go to that scene. And so that, for me at least, this is the part of the process where you start to use less and less of your notes, less and less of your theory, because you got to get it on the page. Thank you, Donna, talking about the outline videos. I appreciate that. I think they're great too. I did not blow my fingers off because I did not leave the house. In fact, we closed the windows so that the cats didn't freak out off the fireworks. Good evening, Aaron Ganga. But yes, there were fireworks here on the west side of LA well into the 1, 2 in the morning. it was rough. Anyway, but that's okay. I was just watching a little TV and trying to not get blown up. So anyway, here's the point. This list of stuff, these list of documents, slowly but surely, you want to make this one, the text, the one you keep looking at. You don't want to keep looking at the outline and going, oh, I've got this great theoretical vision, or I've got these things that I want to get. At a certain point, you're like, it's got to be on the page. And that is where I'm getting to in this script that we're working on here. Okay. Glenn just hit me. Doesn't Pages have a navigation tool? There's words you can slide a side window where you can click each of your headings and it directs you to them in the document. Yes. MS Word may have that. I'm not working in MS Word. I am working in Pages, which I believe also has some form of outline type thing. Here's the thing. My script, as you'll notice, is a different document than my outline. In fact, it is a different software. As you see, the icons are different. One of them is in Final Draft, and one of them is in Pages. I like to write my outline in Pages or in Scrivener. Those are the two documents I tend to work, the formats I work at the most. But when I'm actually writing a script, I write it in Final Draft. Now, Final Draft, I am actually using an old version. I am using Final Draft 11. There is actually a 12. However, I believe there are tools. There is like a script navigator. Yes. And there is also, I believe, hold on. There's something else here. There's this thing. There are ways. Oh, the navigator. Anyway, yeah. Scenes. So yeah, I've got this thing here. So this lists all the scenes, and you can just go to them and stuff. That is a lovely thing if you want to spend the money and time to own and learn Final Draft. I do not urge you to do that because I don't want to ever ask you to spend money. If possible, you should not spend money on your art until you are confident that you really want to put that much time into it. If you're just going to write one script, don't learn a whole software for that. You don't need it. If you're writing a lot of scripts over years, yes, absolutely. Learn the software, use it. There's this cool groovy thing here where it shows you the relative size of the scenes. I believe in version 12, there's a way that you can sort of get a outline index card version of your script. These are all things that are possible to do. I just don't think I need it. I try to have as few versions as possible. And Yes, in theory, if you were the sort of person who put your outline into the final draft version, or in Scrivener you can actually do this too, you can have the outline be the condensation of the same document. I will tell you, however, this is something, my version of the outline is a little different. The document I work in is not predicated on scene headings being the new scene. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But no matter what, if you are doing an outline where, here, like in this navigator, so this scene would simply say the time and the place. It says George's house, living room, continuous. That's not, for me, the same as an outline which says meet George working. It doesn't, the interior, outerior, the time, location, that's not the point of a scene heading in an outline for me. For me, the point of an outline scene heading is to summarize the action or meaning of the scene. Totally different from what they call a scene heading in a script. That is why I don't use those things which drop you. Scrivener actually has a way you can do it. You can turn it into index cards. I believe that Final Draft has been influenced by Scrivener and now is starting to work that way. Hold on. Let me get rid of this thing. There we go. Okay. So that the answer is yes, if it helps your brain to work that way. But my feeling about an outline is the purpose of an outline is to put the action in front of your eyes, not the breakdown for the which locations it's in. It's about what's the action of the, what's the story. My idea of an outline is something that is telling the story. So that is my personal take on that. Hello, Natasha. However, there are now more and more softwares that let you flip back and forth between an index card, which is sort of what I'm doing, and the actual document. And if you can find such a thing, if Scrivener, I believe, does it, I believe the new Final Draft does it. If you got it, use it. Great. I don't think that's a bad thing. Delani Sikisko. Hi. Nice to meet you from South Africa. Yeah, boom. Isn't that wild? You're watching me recorded, and then bang, there I am. Welcome. I'm really glad that you are here from South Africa. It must be late at night there. Speaking of late at night, hi, Tavana. Don't stay up too late. Great to see you. Aaron uses an app called Kit Cinerist. I can't pay for any screenwriting, so it's either that or Word. Cool. Whatever works. It's only about what works. What's the best process to think from outline to scene? I will tell you, Agent of Chaos. And by the way, thank you for your comment a couple hours ago where you told everyone to give me likes. I really appreciate that. Okay. The thing I really, really think you should take a look at is my how to outline video and the why outline. Also, the Think in Scenes video talks a lot about this, the process you get from thinking in outline to scene, but especially, and I know I'm just recommending my own stuff, but that's because I've said what I mean. Use what you have. That video really talks about this, and a process of questions. All of these videos are about the process of getting your thoughts into a scene mentality. A way, like I said, think in scenes. That's what it's all about. Everything in a script has to become a scene. And an outline is a list of scenes. That's my concept of an outline, okay? So that when I do this, that is the scene summarized. And so I can say, that's the action. And when I say action, I mean dramatic action, a very specific kind of action, which is not about physical action. It's not about explosions and running and jumping. It's about people taking emotional or action in relation to each other or their situation. That could just be saying words. It could just be not saying words. Anyway, that's where I believe I have said best how you get from outline to scene, because really the main thing you have to do is practice doing that by doing it. You can't plan to do it without actually practicing this thing that I've been doing. I've been showing you how I do it, where I will take this scene and I will say, okay, now what this action, and I will ask myself questions, lots of questions about the action of the scene, and then I will try and shape just that scene. The reason I'm referring to my own videos so much is because I am actually getting to the point, which I always wanted to do, where I'm running out of stuff to say. That I am trying to get it all down to where if I get hit by a car, my channel is still saying it. You can, day or night, without bothering me at all, find out what I think. You don't need to ask me. It's in here, especially in the lesson videos. I've really tried to, like, if I have something to say, by the time I get done with this project of teaching, I will have put everything I think is useful into a video. Hey, thank you, Natasha. Okay, cool, glad. Index cards and then breaking the sounding by D. Yes, that's sort of how I, that's sort of what I think an outline should do. Hey, Crunk Girl, nice to meet you. We have not spoken yet. Great. Thank you. I'm so glad. I hope it's helpful. If it's not helpful, change it. Make it yours. Do what works for you. Some people hate the way I really like colors. I like different colors. Just my eye, like if I have a things to do list and things are in colors, it helps me. Other people, it's just annoying. So don't do what doesn't work for you. C6 Vega, amount of pages you write for a scene. Here's the deal on scene length. Your average scene is 1 or 2 pages. Most scenes in TV or movies, maybe 1 to 3 pages. Once you get to 4 pages or more, you've got a long scene. I'm not saying you can, no, there are scenes that run 9 pages. Very rare. They are kind of a showpiece scene. Most scenes going to be 1 to 3 pages. A lot of scenes are half a page. But if you go over 3 or 4 pages, most people in the industry are going to say, this scene better be pretty special. It better be pretty great to have that much dialogue, because people freak out if there's that much dialogue. And if you got a 3 or 4 page scene that's not dialogue, that's a lot of writing. That's a lot of reading. Try and see if you can break it up. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That is so great. How cool. How cool. I am so glad to be talking to you guys and helping you. So let's talk again about what I was doing with this thing, which is to talk about this idea that the outline, because when I start writing, I have the outline and I have my notes and I have my overview. That's it. The text document is the script is blank. And I just throw everything I can in the outline, and my grandest ambitions are in there. At this point, I'm now doing the second rewrite. In other words, I wrote the draft, I rewrote the draft, and now I'm on essentially the third version of it. And I have talked before about how you can have 5 to 10 of these steps or more before you get to what you would call a first draft, is in the first time you show it to other people. The first draft for the rest of the world is going to be your 20th draft. That's okay. But in that steps, you hit this point where you try to stop having anything matter that's not in the script. It's either in the script or it's not. That is where I am getting to. So I read through the script and I began to go, oh yeah, I need to fix this. I'm trying to keep this outline really stripped down. But the thing I noticed, and I just want to talk about this, is I am, as I do these drafts, finding the tone. Hi, Ches. I'm just an ordinary citizen. I am not a king. But thank you. So the thing is, you always start out thinking, oh, it's going to be like this. Sometimes, now and then, you actually write exactly what you planned. Most of the time, you don't. Most of the time, you learn what the project is through drafts, through trying it a certain way, often a way that you've accomplished before, like you've used before. Once you've written a bunch of scripts, you're like, oh, I know how to write that type of script. I did that before. Or I know how I write. I did that before. And then you start this one, and every project is different. If you're any good at all, you will give yourself a new challenge every time. If you are working professionally, other people will be giving you new challenges every time. But the main thing is, you think you've got it, and you do have these tools and this approach that you use, but then the script itself begins to say, I work like this. or you just begin to say, oh, I like how that works, to stop anthropomorphizing the script, to stop saying, script doesn't actually say anything. You make the choices. You're the artist. And what happens is you start to get a feel, a rhythm, a tone, a style for every script you write. And they're slightly different. So in this case, one of the things that I realized is I originally wanted this to be very casual seeming, very nonchalant, in which the plot information was going to come out in sort of like bits and pieces threaded through a lot of scenes, casual, funny, dialogue-y scenes. What I'm realizing is, because I have so much plot, I have so many characters, this is an ensemble piece with, although there are 4 main characters. First of all, I got 4 main characters. That's more than most. But then I have a whole set of 6 or 8 secondary serious characters. So I've got a lot of characters and a lot of plot that I have to get in here. I don't have time for casual, schmoozy bits and pieces. I need to make this script more sharp, more kind of on the nose, kind of like, oh, these people are getting right to the heart of the matter and they're talking about the plot. They're talking about their actions, because there's just a lot to learn for the audience. There's a lot to figure out. And I was leaving things very unspoken. I'm getting to the point when I read it of saying, you know what? No one's going to get that. I gotta have them talk about what they want, how they're going to get it. And I am not yet doing that. So I am leaving this here. I'm going to make it a nice bold color so I see it. Oh, that's a little too bold. Boom, there we go. And I'm going to actually make it a little bigger. Okay. So this is... okay. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. That's my great quote from Walter Mosley. That is exactly that quote. Wondering, how do you know when the script is actually finished? I feel like something's missing or short. Most people say it's fine. Then maybe it's fine. First of all, if you're saying like, I feel like something's missing, but you don't know what it is, at a certain point, just make the thing and find out. If you find a specific thing, if you're overthinking, but you're actually finding things to fix them. But as Hyperabs pointed out, and I have in the past, let's see, where is it? Mosley quote. Here it is. Boom. It's done when you know that everything you need to fix, you can't fix yet. So that is exactly what Hyperabs was quoting. Walter Mosley, great novelist, great screenwriter. said this. So the thing is, like, if you're thinking, oh, there's something that needs to be fixed, but I don't know what it is, can't fix it yet, then move on, make it, have some fun. Hi, Jared. Yes, you are. You're in the first hour, the first half hour. You're doing good. Good to see you. Very, very glad. Outlining and knowing the structure helps a ton. Also, thinking in scenes helps with making short-term goals that build the large one over time. This is for sure my way of thinking. I agree with me. That's good. Thank you, Aaron. I think the problem that Chez is talking about here is he's already written the script. He's outlined it. He's plotted it. He's written it. And he's just feeling like it's not right, not good enough, not safe. And the answer is move on, keep on going. If you don't have a specific thing to fix, start moving on to the next stage. Maybe the next stage is writing a new script. Maybe the next stage is making this script. Whatever it is, if you don't actually have a specific thing to fix, you're done. It's as good as it's going to be. And that's the other thing to always remember. This is really important to remember. Everything you do is going to be as good as it's going to be. You can't make it better than you can make it. It's just, just learn to live with that. That is true of every artist all the time. Whatever you're doing the best you can. Try to do the best you can, but don't worry that it's not better than you can do, because it can't be. Just do the best you can. Do what you can, where you are, as you are, who you are, with the reality you live in right now. And if you keep doing that, each thing will have its good qualities and its bad qualities, and that's fine. That is what being an artist is. You have no idea what will work and what won't work. After a while, you'll be surprised to find that some things that you're like, oh, I think that that's cool. And you make it, and it is cool. That's it. Then the next time you do it, you're like, oh, well, maybe I know what I'm talking about. But sometimes you're going to do like, I think this is going to be so cool, and it's a mess. It doesn't work. All you can do is keep doing it. Not keep making one thing right. Keep doing it over and over. Lots of stuff. The more stuff you do, the better. Creature concept artist by trade. That's cool. I am very glad. I think that being a creature concept artist is a cool thing to be doing as a day job. And welcome. Very glad that you're here. Okay. All right. So, hello, Moons of Madness. Put it away for a week, a month, then go back. Yes. Yes. Always fixing. Here's the thing. If you are always fixing and it's actually getting better, worth doing. If you are always fixing and eventually it's just a whole other thing than you started, or if you're fixing it and at a certain point you're just making lateral changes, stop. You need to know for yourself if you are making substantial changes that make it better, or just fixing because you like fixing. I think the important thing to remember is that you need to sharpen your own sense of whether or not you are being productive, whether or not you are actually getting things that are presentable to other people. Whether or not other people see them, at least get them to the form at which, if somebody said, can I see that script? You can just hand it to them or email it to them or whatever. And then make every effort to do that constantly, because that's when you learn. Well, first of all, that's when you learn, literally. But that's also when you learn what does and doesn't work among the things that you feel does and doesn't work. However, I would say that Moons of Madness is very correct to say put it away, but I would add putting it away doesn't usually work unless you either put it away for so long that you actually forget it, or more likely, if you put it away and work on something else. That's the secret. Your brain will just keep subconsciously working on that moment that you left it at. It will be stalled there. But the minute that you work on some other thing, you wash out whatever was clinging before. So every time that you want to get a fresh view of something, the best thing you can do is stop, work on something else for a while, get really engaged in it, and then when you go back to that thing, you will be able to see it with clear eyes. Also, you should like your own work. If you're finding that everything is stuff that doesn't please you, doesn't satisfy you, start to pay attention to that. That means you need to work on that, like in therapy, like or in like having an artificial rule of I'm only going to do 3 drafts and I'm going to give it to people. Don't believe something that's, if you have the same exact feeling about every script, that's you. That's not the script. Okay, that's your habitual feeling, and that's worthless. Okay, what's important is if you are feeling things about this script because this script has this problem. Art problems have art solutions. All right, this is a really big one. Art problems have art solutions. So if you're having a feeling about your work that is not solved in the scenes on the page, it's probably not an art problem. It's probably a feeling problem. And that should be dealt with separately from your art. Boom. Question disguised as a suggestion. How open are you to doing an AMA-esque episode where you give your 2 cents on a few films that, yes, actually, I will be doing that. As I have said, I am looking forward to those take some preparation. I need to get graphics for them, and I need to actually make a list of things that I think, because when I come here, I've got notes. I don't just talk. It may seem like I'm just talking, but I've actually prepared. So every day I'm preparing these the step-by-steps. When I have got step-by-step pretty much done, I'm going to start to talk about other things. I'm going to start talking about other works I've done, going back to scripts that I can let you read and then talk about what happened and how they got made or didn't get made. I can also talk about film history, which I want to talk about, and the idea of doing some stuff about, in the film history, I'll talk about different movies that I think work or don't work, but also a little bit of just like, this is a cool movie and you've probably never heard of it, and this is why I think it's worth checking out. So yes, I will take your suggestion disguised as a question. Okay, so here's the thing about the script so far. This is what most of these scenes I've gotten to the point where what's wrong with them is just in the words. It's not like, oh, this is not structured right. If that's true, I'm leaving those scenes just as, here, that's a scene, just a scene line to sum it. These notes I'm making myself are when I get to a script where it's like, this isn't making sense yet. There's something wrong with this scene. The scene is still rough. It's not formed to where I'm shaping it in words. I've actually got to make some choices about what the scene is about. The first one is the first scene, which I've got just too many sections of podcast. The speech goes on too many tangents. And what I want to do is I've got to look through it, break it into pieces, which I think I already did actually. And then say which one is this scene, and the ones that don't fit that I'm going to put into other scenes, because I have other scenes where characters are listening to the podcast. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Then here, this scene here. Let's take a look at these things. Okay, so all right, we're all the way at the end. Let me go here. So this scene with elms. Here, it's like I've got this stuff, or I just made a little note, podcast stuff. So obviously what I need to do is take a hunk of the other scene or the ideas for the podcast that I've got in that scene, that first scene, move some of them down here. But here's the thing, this scene, it's not working. there's some good information, there's some good exchanges, but as a scene, it's not, first of all, the point of this scene is to make clear who this cop is and what his relationship is. Currently, not got that. I've got a line or two that does it. But the other thing I realized is the last time we saw Madeline, she was at work. She gets the call, your husband's been murdered, your ex-husband. But that's 5 o'clock on one day. This scene that we're in now is the next day. So therefore, the question is, how much does she know walking into this crime scene? Currently, I have it that she doesn't know anything. And I'm thinking that's a mistake. These two people need to be coming together with some prior knowledge, because I don't necessarily want to show her catching up to everything. Hi, Maria. Very glad that you made it. Yes, quite the ride with me, indeed. You're so glad that this is helpful. So anyway, when I read through it, the scenes that I am leaving in the outline is just this. That's because I actually made my criticisms and notes on the page itself, because the criticisms and notes were about the words. But there's some scenes where like, this scene is still a mess. I don't know. I don't have a shape to the scene. The shape of a scene is the action. And this scene here, it doesn't have a single action. It's just got a bunch of beats, which I can string together. Sometimes you can get away with that, but I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to try and make that scene a shape of some kind. I think that, and actually as I say this, I think one big problem is she is too passive. Original plan of having him come on harsh and then she blows up at the end, not working. Okay. So yeah, these are just the notes. Okay. Okay, so that is what this scene needs. I've still got a lot. The things that I'm working on are the scenes. You know what? I'm going to actually change the color of these scenes. I see what's going on here. There we go. So that I know that these scenes are not done. No, walk and talk is very different. A walk and talk scene, although very often a walk and talk scene is just a pile of exposition, that a walk and talk is frankly a disgraceful thing. A walk and talk is what happens when the director, Tommy Schlamme, is the one who kind of invented this. He was directing The West Wing, I believe, which was Aaron Sorkin, Aaron Sorkin, big dialogue writer. And so what Tommy Schlamme said is, I don't want to just have scenes of people sitting in a room, standing around a room talking. So whenever we get into these long dialogue scenes of yours, let's have them walking out of the office along a hall. We have steady cams. We're cool. And so basically, walk and talk scenes is a director not believing that a scene is interesting enough if the people are just talking, so he has them walking. It's not more interesting to be walking. It's more interesting if the scene works. And I personally believe that most of Aaron Sorkin's scenes worked just fine without walking. You didn't need to be walking. The whole point is that, in fact, in those walk and talks, they are throwing a lot of ideas and information at each other. And you'd probably be better off not walking. I think that walk and talks is one of the dumbest things invented in the past few decades. Second only to cameras that go in circles around people who are talking. Unless the talk itself is dizzying, I cannot believe how dumb I think it is to say, oh, it's boring to watch people talk. I'm going to have the camera go around them in a circle. Seriously? Don't do that. Okay, my little rant. So when I say walk, that's not a walk and talk scene. What I'm saying is, if you've got a good scene, the scene, yes, yes, yeah, absolutely. If you've got a good scene, it has a shape. In other words, like right now, this scene here, it has a shape, but the shape is that she enters his zone of work, and they talk for a bit and cover some topics, and then he leaves. But the who owns the scene? To tell you the truth, nobody's owning the scene. Nobody is taking an action. They are just meeting to exchange information. Now, if you are stylish and you want to do Aaron Sorkin-y dialogue, you can probably get away with that. Like I said, it is possible if you have interesting thoughts and if they are expressed in a fun way, you could get away with a lot of scenes that don't have a shape. I'm not saying you can't get away with it. I'm saying the ideal is to give these scenes a shape. This scene doesn't have a shape yet. And what I think is that what's wrong is she's just way too passive. So I need to look at that scene again and think, okay, what's an action here? Because there is a cool idea that she's coming in, he's going to be mean to her and then leave. That's cool. Shape. She arrives, he is mean, and he abandons her. See, because that's what I'm saying. What's the action? That he is mean. Really, she arrives is just how the scene starts. She shows up. That's not really the action of the scene so far. Is he is mean and he abandons her. I have to think about whether or not that's the core of the story. I think it kind of is. So I'm gonna bold that so that we remember that. Hello, Jenny. Good to see you in Britain. Good to have you here. All right. So then, yes, that's absolutely right. And if you'll notice, Midnight Mass does an excellent job of talk and talk, and the writer is the director, and he didn't do walk and talks most of the time. He did a couple, but not bad. Midnight Mass, I love Midnight Mass. It's not for everyone. It is very talky, and it is frighteningly philosophical, but I think that's what's great about it, is that the most frightening stuff in truth is the talk. I think it's great. Okay. Yes, that's actually part of the scene. I don't know if you remember, is that he says right here, usually it's the spouse, and then she says ex-spouse, exactly. But the thing is, having mentioned that, the truth is, that's not a serious issue. That's not why he's angry. That's not why he's mean to her. He's mean to her because he's mad at George, because this case sucks for him. And it has nothing to do with her. So that's, I need to think a little bit more about that. So then the next scene where I have a problem is here. Once Xena and Xena's introduced, being ignored. she's trying to text and call Madeline, and Madeline is not answering. So then I have her, I say, she makes a decision, starts to work her phone, making airline reservations. First of all, not well phrased because we got makes and making. That's not good. But the main thing is, this scene is actually about Zena is the murderer. She knew that when George died, she had to go immediately to the house to pick up the evidence. That was the point of murdering him. So the idea that she, as I say, makes a decision here, that's crazy. She's been waiting to hear that George died so that she could jump on that. So what that tells me is that I didn't think about what her action is in the scene. Once again, this all comes down to, hold on, dramatic action, which I did a video about, and character arcs. In other words, when two people enter a scene, they have an agenda. Every scene, everyone who enters it is they're coming in with their own agenda. And what I did in these scenes where I'm not getting them right is I was thinking about my agenda. Oh, I need him to do this, or I need her to do that. And that's why these scenes aren't working. I have not put myself into their place and made that story make sense. So like what Maria is saying here, yeah, I could make that scene work, but it wouldn't be to their agenda. It wouldn't be to the thing that I need to establish about their character. The main thing I need to establish about this cop character is how much he does not believe that the serial killer did it, and how much he hates the whole serial killer thing. I would bet that cops hate cold case serial killer hunters a lot. So watch your ings and directionals. Yes, exactly. Lesson number 1. So my point is, in this case, I've conceived of this plan as Zena waiting around. But the truth is, she would already be packing. She is already packing, getting ready to go. And she's just frustrated that Madeline is not there to get her call. The truth is, she's going whether Madeline says to come or not. So this is the problem. Boom. The other thing is, I noticed on page 49, as I was reading it, there's a moment when Zena explains to her TikTok audience that George privately told her where the evidence was. This is actually information we need way, way sooner. It's actually not here. It's here. There. Okay. So there we go. Okay. So that's what I'm doing right now is I read through the script and I made notes about the scenes that are not working. As you'll see, if you look at the colors, any scene that's in black font, this black Gill font, it means that scene is in pretty good shape, that what needs to be worked on is in the text, not in the conception of the scene. So what I'm doing here is just marking and working on those scenes that are not working. Yeah. All right. So, and once again, with this is simply that, like I said at the beginning of this whole session, a lot of these scenes I was trying to make them very casual. Sort of like we're eavesdropping on a conversation that's happening, sort of the opposite, frankly, of what Sorkin does. What Sorkin does is he makes it very fun, but it is incredibly targeted, mechanical work to make sure that you are pushing the characters and along the tracks, and that the audience is never off those tracks. And I need to do more of that. I need to make this more tracky, more roller coastery. Yes, exactly. The case in this here is that I have too many characters, and so the third element is just getting in the way. I've got to actually reduce it, boil it down. Yes, outlines are so great. Exactly. That's a good line. That's fun. Okay. And the crime sleuth guys talk about it for a moment. Sometimes they're deciding who's Shaggy, etc., etc. Yes, exactly. In fact, I may rewatch A Few Good Men for that. Yes, Javier, I totally get that. The problem for me about this, Javier's approach is talking about essentially how to make dialogue more entertaining. When you have a scene where you've got information that you got to think, you need to find some way that the characters get into some engagement with each other that is entertaining. Maybe there's a misunderstanding, maybe they get on a tangent, whatever it is, a way to make this passing of information less trundly down the track. And Javier, you're absolutely right. That is a great technique. The problem I'm having is that that's the technique I was using. It's running too long. In this case, my big problem is I've got too much material for 1 hour-long episode. I have too much information and too many actions. So what I need to do is actually remove some of that playfulness and some of that third element, and make the two things that I've got to get done sharper, more character-based. That's what's going on here. Then, like I said, these are all good. And this is not a big deal. What I realized here, I'll show you this one. There's a scene. What happens is, let's go down here. Okay. Dundosky is breaking into the house, and Norman sees it, so he comes after him. All right. So then Dundosky breaks into the house, and he goes and he stands in the kitchen doorway. Then he decides he needs to tie up Madeline, so he goes back into the kitchen. And then I have, while he's in the kitchen looking for something to tie her up with, Norman enters. And here's my question. If Norman opens the door, so he's standing outside the door, because that's what happens when you open a door. You open the door, he sees a giant biker meth dealer that he does not want to have a fight with. Why would he go in? He wouldn't go in, and the fight wouldn't happen because he would just run away. So what I need to do is rethink this so that Norman comes in while Dundosky is still in the doorway to the living room. So his back is to the kitchen and he's out of sight. So the way that would work is like, I'm not sure for the camera, but if Norman's coming in here, Norman's coming in the kitchen door over here, and Dundosky is over here, but he's out of his sight. He's over here. So Norman comes in, doesn't see him until Dundosky comes back in, and Dundosky's going this way, so he doesn't see Norman. Norman is now can't get to the door before Dundosky gets him. That's what I'm doing. Purely mechanical, but that note is just, oh yeah, so that's just a thing to do. It's not even like this fight isn't working. It's just a bit I wrote a note to myself. Yeah, this one though, this scene just doesn't make any sense at all. I've got this scene where Xena is heading out to the airport and she's telling Cameron, you have to go to take my parents out to their anniversary in my place, which is just zany. But the thing about it is the way I've got it written, it's like she's just figuring it out as she's going along. The minute that George died, Xena would be thinking, I have to go to get the material from George's house, which means I have to go to Pennsylvania right away, which means, tomorrow's my parents' anniversary. So this would all be planned. And the thing is, this ends with Xena telling Cameron, hey, as a gift to my parents, I want you to sing them a song, which is actually kind of a gift to Cameron because Cameron needs to be pushed to practice her singing more, to engage in public singing. So that gift quality, that like, oh my God, this is kind of magical that you're asking me to do this weird thing, but it's going to be good for me. That's the point. It's got to be an actual gift to Cameron in response to Cameron's resisting. Cameron saying, I can't take your parents to brunch. And she's like, you're not just taking them, you're going to sing. And this is just a note that when we get into the sequence where we're following all the different players as they converge on the town, I just need to tie them together more by having shared that they're all looking at the same information on their phones, or something that connects them, something that makes their sense that they're all converging at the same thing. And then this is also just, this scene has to move to a different place. I made a note to myself, this point, which is actually about 2/3 of the way through the script, is where the script really gets messy. It's just not working. A lot of these scenes are just not working. So that's where we are. This whole thing is not working. Okay. Which one? Well, you're talking about the scene where Cameron sings the song? Yes. Well, the thing about that is that it's just going to be a beat in a series of scenes that are flowing together, and the song will actually be fun because it can actually overlap some. So I think that that's actually going to be all right because it's really not a scene. It's part of a scene. It's like a beat in a sequence. So that's why I don't think it's worth cutting it, because we do have to check in on these characters. But the main question is how am I going to make the script as a whole feel the way that A Few Good Men is? I'm probably going to, sometimes when you're feeling lost or uninspired, if you can find something to copy, like a model, if you can say, oh, I want to work in the style of this or that. And I think actually Sorkin is the way to go with this in some ways. So I'm considering maybe like watching A Few Good Men. Sometimes like I'll just open a window and have a movie going. So if it's something I know really well that I like a lot, so I'll sometimes like just watch a few beats of it in order to get a vibe going. Cameron is going to be an important player later. Since this is a pilot, sometimes you need to just keep the characters alive or move them. The whole point is I'm not giving them a full scene. Yes, indeed, Aaron Sorkin is. The sequence is a lot of characters. The thing I need to do is make clear that it is a sequence, not a scene, a lot of scenes, but one sequence about many characters. When I get it to work like that, it will serve its purpose, which is to keep this being an ensemble story in which the ensemble is coming together. Yes, the dialogue is phenomenal in A Few Good Men. Okay, so there we go. We have reached the end of the outline. We have reached the end of the hour. We are in good shape. That is what I did in the in this over the weekend. Do we need to introduce him or her in the pilot? Them actually. Cameron is in fact a them. Yes. Yes, I believe we need to introduce these people. They can be like, we need to get the core group into the pilot. Absolutely. Do they all have to be fully developed? No, but we need to get a sense of the group as a group. So that is the plan. That was actually the whole reason that I rewrote that. I spent the past 3 weeks with the rewriting their sequences, trying to enrich that. And I think I am. I think that Ted and Cameron are starting to come alive, and Dundosky is actually starting to sink back to where he belongs. Yeah, I'm amazing. Thank you. It's great to have you guys here. To share this. We are having fun, I think, and learning. So I'm just going to say to you that you guys should go write something, and then I'll see you tomorrow. Go write something.